I'd like to call the Gurnee Village Board regular meeting of September 10th, 2018 to order. Roll call, please, Andy.
Thorstenson.
Here.
Jacobs. Ross.
Here.
Garner.
Here.
Balmas.
Present.
Hood.
Here.
5 present, 1 absent.
All right, and Trustee Jacobs did let us know he'd be absent tonight. So please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, before I open the floor to public comment, I would like to very much recognize a very, very dedicated individual who is unfortunately leaving the village. Scott Drabicki, our village engineer, has been with us for 15 years and has done a phenomenal job. And we are going to miss him very much, but this is his last meeting with us. His last day is September 21st. So if you want to razz him during this meeting and give him a hard time, this is the only meeting you can do it at. But we are going to really miss you an awful lot, Scott. You have done an amazing job. It's not all visible because I know a lot of it's below ground, but you really have done a very good job for the village, and we thank you so much for your service and wish you the best of luck with your new endeavors. So a round of applause for Scott, please. I'm going to miss you. All right, now I will open the floor to public comment. If you'd like to address the board for something that's on your mind, you can step to the microphone and just give us your name, please.
Mayor Kovarik, village trustees, my name is Otto Wimpfen. My wife Laurel and I are residents of Gurnee, and specifically Hickory Haven subdivision. My objective is to communicate certain concerns about the proposed sports complex. We, along with several neighbors from Hickory Haven neighborhood, attended the August 27 board meeting, and all of us felt blindsided. To the best of my recollection, none of the proponents who spoke were actually Gurnee residents. Based on how well prepared they were, it certainly appears that the village has been courting this concept and the interest groups for quite some time. Our knowledge of the sports complex idea did not come from the village. It came from an article in the Herald only a few days before the scheduled meeting. My wife and I take partial onus for not being informed on this topic, but with all due respect, we are questioning how well the village publicized this concept to the Gurnee residents. I'm sad to report that many of our neighbors, both from Hickory Haven and surrounding neighborhoods, have expressed apathy and frustration that this development is a done deal. They have already given up and chalked it up to politics as usual. We are here to say we hope that is not the case. So, going forward, we recognize that the village board approved the feasibility study being conducted by Sports Facility Advisory. We respectfully but urgently request that the following 3 items be acted upon and entered into public record. 1, identify and designate a point of contact for Gurnee residents with the Village Sports Facility Advisory to establish transparent lines of communication on this issue. 2, ensure that the feasibility study includes both short-term and long-term environmental impacts on the 35-acre parcel itself, adjacent neighborhoods, and the greater village of Gurnee. 3, identify or establish a method for Gurnee residents to be actively engaged and monitor the feasibility study being conducted, as well as future decisions by the board regarding this proposed development. Now, we fully understand the responsibility of this governing body to ensure a healthy economic environment for the future of Gurnee. However, we expect the village to hold its interests of to hold the interests of the residents of the Gurnee in priority and not bow to outside interests arbitrarily. Thank you. May I have permission to approach Your Honor and the trustees to distribute copies?
Oh, absolutely. And your statements were recorded and videotaped, so they will be a matter of record. And we'll distribute this. And I appreciate very much, no, we'll take care of it. Thank you very much for your comments.
My name is Don Tremper. I'm a resident of Gurnee.
And I have your letter.
Thank you.
I received it and read it. Thank you.
So I'll read it and see if I make any mistakes.
Okay.
I attended the village board meeting on August 6th, where a feasibility study for a proposed sports complex was discussed. I had several reactions as I listened to those who had comments. First, those who are speaking in favor of the sports complex are not from Gurnee. Why are they not proposing this in their own communities? Second, most of those speaking are concerned only for ice. In spite of their comments, this is of limited appeal. Third, how did these from outside of Gurnee know about this when we residents only became aware of it through a small article in the Herald? And fourth, we are assured, should the feasibility study be in favor of a complex, opportunities to respond. I assume no final decision will therefore come without such input. And then fifth, who is behind this proposal? Why is no landowner making this request? Who owns the property? And those were thoughts as I was sitting at the meeting. And then I would think about it for a few days and I wrote this following. Is such a facility really needed for Gurnee? We have excellent parks, school facilities, an aqua center, and so on. How well are existing sports complexes in our area faring? If there is such a demand for ice, why doesn't Libertyville add this to their complex? Or why does not Lindenhurst or a northern Chicago suburb provide for this? Did not Zion close theirs? How will such a project enhance the quality of life here in Gurnee? We already have attractions that make Gurnee a destination. We have Great America, Great Wolf, the mills, and surrounding businesses and attractions, car dealerships, restaurants, and so on. Being a tourist destination is a nice thought, but the quality of life for Gurnee residents is more important because Gurnee is a wonderful place to live. Our neighborhood was influential years ago in establishing Lake Carina instead of a dense housing project and then bringing Heather Ridge into Gurnee, because Gurnee had a much better land use program than another community that sought to develop it. Gurnee has had a variety of homes, excellent schools, and parks. And there's a significant attraction that we still have, open land, vital for the quality of life. Such land areas are becoming scarce. Other communities seem crowded and not as attractive as Gurnee. Even now, Gurnee has traffic issues. How we use our still open lands will affect our quality of life. If the feasibility study does recommend a sports complex, will alternatives to the Washington Street property be considered? For example, the soon-to-be-closed Sears store at the Mills. And these are just examples. It's a large building with excellent parking, room to expand, surrounded by restaurants and lodging. Or could it be the industrial area near the Holiday Inn, or any other area? As to the Washington Street acreage, what is the best use of that property? In my view, continued open space and agriculture, but perhaps senior apartments for middle-income retirees, or a strictly density-controlled PUD. What does the owner propose? I have mentioned quality of life several times. I feel this is more important than adding another tourist destination. The decision of land use of Washington Street and similar parcels will impact the quality of life for many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Trumper, very much. And I do have a copy of his letter, if anybody would like a copy of it after the meeting.
Would the rest of the board like copies of it?
You know, I have it, and I gave it to the village administrator. He'll make sure it's distributed,
Okay, thank you.
because we can do it electronically.
I feel like I'm the young kid on the block. I think I'm the only one in our group. Well, I better not say this. There might be someone younger than me, and I don't want to offend anyone. My family and I moved from...
I need your name first,
Oh,
though.
I'm sorry. My name is Brian Walla.
Thank you.
These are my neighbors from the Hickory Haven neighborhood. We moved from northern Minnesota about 3.5 years ago. And the thing that we loved about Gurnee, and I got to tell you that I bought the house with my wife never seen it. I just showed her videos. But what we liked about Gurnee was the wide open spaces, the parks, a lot of the greenway. And I actually made a decision to move to the Hickory Haven neighborhood because I didn't want to go as far as Grand Avenue because I saw right away that the traffic was bad there. So we moved into that neighborhood and we've loved it. I have some questions about some of the logistics and the forward planning with this project. I heard that statements were made that, you know, we needed another sports complex. You've already heard that it seems like sports complexes aren't even being used to capacity for sure. But if we're thinking along that line, has there been any consideration of soccer fields? I mean, we have 4 kids. We were a soccer family. All of our kids did soccer. You know, soccer fields, more baseball diamonds, things that you can play outside. Maybe there could be a smaller sports complex and not a huge sports complex. And then I started thinking, if, you know, I have a grandson that lives with us. We have 4 kids. We have a lot of people that visit. But I started thinking, if I was going to go to Six Flags, would I actually, imagine me, you know, I'm a parent, we have 4 kids, we're all tired at the day end. Are we going to think to go to a sports complex and work out? Is that going to be a draw for us? Probably not. I think most people, they're coming to Six Flags or an attraction like that for a day or two. They're not coming here for a whole week. They're not going to have that kind of time. It's not going to be a drawing card like you might expect. And then I have some things that I guess I'd like the city to just go ahead, or Village of Gurnee, to research and then provide us answers in the next 30 days. So I'll just kind of list them out. Have you looked at the projected business plan and the revenue generation for the next 5 years for the businesses that might come into that area, number one? Number two, have you projected the tax revenue for the next 5 years from land tax and also from sales tax? I mean, a sports complex is not a retail-heavy thing. You're not going to get those kind of tax revenues, so we'd expect to see some projections of that. And then, along with that, have you actually done focus groups and asked people that come to Gurnee already, to go to Six Flags or other places, and ask them to actually tell you how apt they would be at the day's end to actually go to a sports complex now? Those are pretty much my questions. I've got probably more for another meeting, but just kind of wrap it up with that. And we'd like to see answers in the next 30 days on those questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any other comments from the public tonight? You'll have another opportunity at the end of the meeting, and if not, I'm going to move on to approval of the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion by trustee Balmas, second by trustee Thorstensen. Roll call, please, Andy.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner. Aye. Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
5 aye.
All right, motion carries. Patrick, please read the consent agenda into the record.
Item number 1, approval of the minutes from the August 20th, 2018 Village Board meeting. Item number 2, approval request for Police Detective Brian Carey to attend the Law Enforcement Driver Instructor Training Program in Cheltenham, Maryland from September 10th through 21st, 2018 at an estimated cost of $1,500. Item number 3, approval of Engineering Division's recommendation to award Village Hall roof replacement project to the low bidder, Master Project, Inc., at a cost of $127,000. Number 4, approval of Engineering Division's recommendation to award fiscal year 2019 and fiscal year 2020 landscape restoration project to the low bidder, Bus Landscape Company, at a cost of $115,257.20. Item number 5, approval of Staff Accountant Garrison Molina's request to participate in the village's tuition assistance program in pursuit of a master's degree in accounting and financial management from the Keller Graduate School of Management. Item number 6, approval of the following bid dates. A, September 11, 2018, Chelsea Crossing Drainage Improvement Project, and B, September 12, 2018, Almond Road Delivery Station Storm and Sanitary Sewer Improvement Project. Item number 7, approval of payroll for period ending August 31st, 2018 in the amount of $811,248.07. Item number 8, approval of bills for period ending September 10th, 2018 in the amount of $1,639,622.88.
Thank you, Patrick. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as read into the record?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Ross, second by trustee Garner. Roll call, please, Andy.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner. Aye. Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
5 aye.
All right, motion carries. We'll move on to petitions and communications. The first is a proclamation designating September 23rd through 29th, 2018 as Child Passenger Safety Week in the Village of Gurnee. Our society has a responsibility to protect our children, and car seats are required by law for children traveling in motor vehicles. And traffic crashes are the leading cause of death for children ages 1 through 13. And research shows that car seats reduce the risk of fatal injury for infants by 71% and by 54% for toddlers in cars. And the Village of Gurnee is committed to working closely with our partners and safety advocates to help make the kind of choices that will keep children alive and safe. And the Gurnee Police and Fire Departments are hosting a free child safety seat event to inspect and correctly install child safety seats at the Gurnee Park District Touch a Truck at Hunt Club Park on Friday, September 14th from 6 to 8 p.m. And all parents and caregivers are encouraged to take advantage of this service and ensure their children are getting the very best protection and are in the right seat for their ages and size. Now, therefore, I, Christina Kovarik, Mayor of Gurnee, do hereby proclaim the week of September 23rd through 29th, 2018 as Child Passenger Safety Week. I encourage all citizens to help reduce injuries and the tragic loss of life by buckling up themselves and their children every trip, every time. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Balmas, second by trustee Ross. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it's Child Passenger Safety Week coming up. Next is a proclamation designating September 15th through October 15th, 2018 as Hispanic Heritage Month in the Village of Gurnee. Hispanic Heritage Month in Gurnee is celebrated from September 15th through October 15th, 2017. And during Hispanic Heritage Month, the Village of Gurnee recognizes the many contributions the Hispanic American community has made to our country and celebrates the rich history and cultural traditions of our nation's Hispanic American people. And September 15th was chosen as the starting point for the celebration because it is the anniversary of independence of 5 Latin American countries including Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. In addition, Mexico and Chile celebrate their Independence Days on September 16th and September 18th, respectively. More than 57 million people in the United States are of Hispanic origin, which include people with roots in Central and South America, Mexico, the Caribbean, and Spain. And Hispanic Heritage Month demonstrates the unity and diversity of Hispanics around the world who will celebrate their colorful and distinct culture. And the Village of Gurnee joins other communities across our nation in celebrating and recognizing the many contributions and legacies that are attributed to these Americans. Now therefore I, Christina Kavark, Mayor of the Village of Gurnee, do hereby proclaim September 15th through October 15th, 2018 as Hispanic Heritage Month in the Village of Gurnee, and urge our citizens to honor and celebrate the achievements of a people that have contributed so much to our American culture. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Trustee Balmas, second by Trustee Thorstensen. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, it'll be Hispanic Heritage Month in the Village of Gurnee. That is all the petitions and communications, correct? All right, any reports, Pat?
Not tonight.
All right, no old business?
Correct.
All right, then we're going to move right on to new business. First item is item number 1, approval of ordinance 2018-66,
66.
authorizing execution of a professional services agreement with Clark Dietz for professional services for the Pressure Zone 5 improvements.
Sure. So you had a memo from our civil engineer, Nick Leach, on this. Obviously, we've got the water tower and pressure zone number 5 in the capital plan for construction. The village boards approved the contracts. We've heard back from the Illinois EPA that the loan has been approved. So we're looking to move forward on that. Obviously, a project of this magnitude, we want to make sure it's done right and keep a close eye on it by individuals that have the expertise in constructing water towers and pressure zones. So while we have a very knowledgeable and available staff on hand in the village, this isn't our area of expertise. It's something that they've done before, so they're looking for some outside assistance from a firm that does have that ability. So we've worked with Clark Dietz in the past on some projects. I talked to them a little bit about the pressure zone and the water tower. They actually have brought some personnel on board from other utilities in the area that have extensive knowledge and experience that we feel could be beneficial for us. So we negotiated a contract with them. We foresee this assistance being needed through December 2019, probably 20 hours per week, to keep an eye on this on a daily basis. So based on the hourly rates, how many hours we think we need, it's a not to exceed contract at $250,000. Obviously, it covers 2 fiscal years, so if approved, we'll have to budget accordingly next fiscal year, but there's, this expense was anticipated. There's engineering consulting dollars in the budget, and being that we're charged for the actual work performed, we can use as much or as little of this outside assistance as is needed.
Questions from the trustees? It makes sense to me.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion from Trustee Balmas, second from Trustee Ross. Roll call, please, Andy.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
5 aye.
All right. Item number 2, approval of ordinance 2018-67, amending the Gurnee Municipal Code to add section 78-62, parenthetical C, to regulate the use of roundabouts at village intersections. Might not be a bad idea since we have 2 of them now.
Yes, we have 2 roundabouts in town now. So Scott worked with Attorney Winter on this to update the municipal code. Obviously, those intersections before either were under the stop section or the yield section. So pulled them out of that and created a new section for roundabouts, which provides regulations for the operations of vehicles in it, some definitions, and then exceptions to the provisions, penalties, et cetera. So it's a pretty simple add, and it adds in those 2 intersections. The one up on Ferndale and Granville, and then Alman and Data.
I was just telling David, I had 3 people seek me out this weekend to compliment us on the roundabout. And I've been getting more positive feedback on social media and that, so I know it was rough when we first announced it, and there was quite a bit of angst about the operation, but people are beginning to see and recognize the value, so good job to David and Scott for having some vision and really coming up with a design that works out there. A motion to approve this?
So moved.
Motion by trustee Balmas, second by trustee Thorstensen. Roll call, please.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
5 aye.
All right, motion carries. Item number 3, approval of ordinance 2018-68, approving a service agreement between the Village of Gurnee and Blackboard Connect related to the Connect automated telephone notification system.
Sure. So as everyone's aware, we use Blackboard Connect as our reverse 911 system, automated telephone system to send out notifications. I've had a relationship with them since 2007. Contract's nearing expiration, so we reached out to them to discuss a renewal. At the same time, we also looked at alternative service providers, so put together a committee of the users that are involved with the Connect system to see what else was out there, what functionality they may have that Connect didn't, and then what the pricing was. So they met on that. When the dust settled, they recommended to stick with Connect CTY. And Jack leaned on him. There's been advances in technology, so he was able to get the price reduced substantially. We were at $22,600 a year. He was able to get that down to $14,125 if we renewed with them for 3 years. So that's what we've been doing historically. Based on what the other companies can do, I mean, it's really pretty much apples to apples. So there was nothing that another service provider that could do that Connect couldn't, that we needed. So happy with the service. And bringing the price down substantially, so staff is recommending to enter in a additional 3-year contract with Connect CTY at that $14,125 per year.
Questions? Trustee Thorstensen?
Just a comment. Congrats. Great job on the negotiation.
Other questions? Do I have a
Make
motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by trustee Balmas, second by trustee Garner. Roll call, please, Andy.
Thorstensen.
Yes.
Ross.
Aye.
Garner.
Aye.
Balmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
5 aye.
All right, motion carries. It's a great service, so I'm glad it's going to continue. All right, item number 4, approval of request from Barberry Lane for relief from Gurnee Municipal Code, Section 66-135, which limits commercial driveway width to 34 feet at the right-of-way.
Sure. So we have a request from Peterson Excavating, which is up at 35801 Barberry, requesting relief from our width restriction in the Gurnee Municipal Code. Per the municipal code, commercial driveway widths are restricted to 34 feet of the property line. We did issue a permit for a new driveway up at that location at 30 feet. When we went up there and inspected it, it was wider than that. So the property owner was told he has 2 options, either bring it into conformance or come in and request relief from the municipal code. So Willie Peterson's here tonight. I stated, based on the size of the trucks and the trailers going in there, that he needs a 40-foot width to allow them to navigate that turn. While it's in unincorporated Lake County, it's our road, so that's the reason it's before you tonight. You know, they've been up there for a long time with the same operation, so obviously he's aware of what is needed from his perspective. But again, it's above and beyond what the municipal code permits. So as we talked about at a previous meeting, the municipal code says what it says, and staff cannot diverge from that. So it's got to come before the village board for consideration. So that is where we are at.
And Patrick, for the record, the permit that was submitted, was it for 30 feet or 34 feet?
30.
So the permit we reviewed and permitted was for 30 feet, but they installed something else, okay. And now staff's recommending we give a little bit, but not the whole thing. Well, that's strange. Was it the contractor that just couldn't follow the plans? You the
Willie
owner?
Peterson, Representative Peterson Excavating, yes. We were the ones that installed the approach, and yes, you guys approved 30 feet wide. The concrete design mix that we had at that particular moment was for Friday. It's a 48-hour concrete, so they have to specially make it so we can lay it on Friday and we can be open on Monday morning. So we framed up our entrance with concrete forms. We ran out for one day, having trucks come in and out. Barberry Lane is a little bit narrower than what a normal road is. So when the trucks were coming in and out of that framed up area, it was going to create a conflict. So they were going to drive off the edge of our road and into our landscaping, or drive off the edge of the village road into the ditch, which then created erosion problems and stormwater runoff. So at the last minute, myself, I took the liberty to make it wider, not thinking that would have been a big deal. But since we had the concrete that was a custom-made mix, it was over $27,000 in concrete, so it's not like anybody wants to spend any more money, but I thought making that decision would help at that particular moment, so I take all responsibility for making it wider, but hoping that we could work with the village, we could get this addressed tonight and make it wider so we can have our day-to-day and not drive off the edge of your road, which then compromise the edges.
Okay, well, that's very honest of you. Thank you for that. Questions for Scott or the contractor? Trustee Ross?
I'd just like to hear what Scott has to say.
The reason for my recommendation is just, the precedent. I don't like going against the Gurnee Municipal Code and writing memos. It just takes a lot of my staff time away. So that's my consistent recommendation, has always been not to approve anything that exceeds the Gurnee Municipal Code, just in honor of the law of the land, if you will. At this specific location, there are, I believe, maybe 4 properties on this road that take access off of Barberry. It's not well-traveled at all. It's kind of a forgotten corner. The Village of Gurnee has indicated that the entire east side of the road is actually unincorporated properties, but the road is ours to own and maintain. The overall impact to the community is negligible. It just, it obviously doesn't comply with the Gurnee Municipal Code.
I did inquire because we had one a couple months ago, whether we should be looking at, perhaps revising the ordinance. But it seems like it's very rare and there's special circumstances, whether it's the width of the road, but there's discernible facts that the board could be presented to make these decisions. So staff was not recommending that the width be modified, that maybe it's still manageable with presenting them to the board on a case-by-case basis. It hasn't occurred that often.
So is 34 based on the size of the trucks coming in and out?
The request is for 40.
The
Right.
34 in our code, I believe, it's just, I don't know where that came from. I don't know that it actually applies to reality. I think it's just a number that kind of seemed reasonable at the time. We've made it work throughout, my tenure at the Village of Gurnee through some creative means. Once you get into the larger trucks, semi-tractor trailers, which this organization does use on a regular basis, the 34 is inadequate, so we've had to make other accommodations in the form of mountable medians and saying that the median is actually a separate, a break in the driveway, if you will. So we've had to get creative over the years to make the existing ordinance work.
So you're saying 40 is, you're recommending 34 inches though, not 40, not to give him a waiver for 40 inches.
The Village of Gurnee Municipal Code maximizes at 34 feet.
I got you, so 34, okay,
34 is a max.
max,
It's
but
been poured at
the
40.
board could go to 40 based on the unique circumstances.
Correct.
here.
If the Village of Gurnee Board
All
of
right, I got
Trustees
you.
approves
All right.
relief, we can approve anything that we want at this level.
All right. Questions, Trustee
Well-
Garner? Oh, I'm sorry, I was going to, Trustee Garner first.
What kind of precedents do we set by, should we approve something like that?
Well, it isn't precedent like a written decision, a ruling by a court. Generally speaking, you have to consider each request separately and the circumstances. You should be consistent so that if another petitioner had similar circumstances, you would think that you would grant the exception in those cases. So there isn't, it would not be that some other property owner under different circumstances, could cite this and say, oh, I have a legal right to do this, that won't happen. And if there was a situation where it was identical, chances are, you know, this board, who's ever on it, would make the same decision to grant the exception. So not overly concerned about any negative binding effect on future boards.
Okay. And the other question is, Scott, what is the minimum and maximum turning radius into, I mean, how much driveway do they actually need on the minimum side to, is 30 feet adequate to make those turns with the size truck he's using?
I can't give you a yes/no clear answer on that because it is site-specific and dependent. We allow it to be flared out significantly. I think we allow a 30-foot flare at the street where it actually intersects with the street, and then it has to neck down kind of like an hourglass shape. So every lot is actually got a different, you know, the front property line is spaced differently from where the edge of the pavement is at. So a lot out here may not have as much parkway area to play with as, say, a lot in, you know, another subdivision, another neighborhood. So it's a site-by-site decision point that we have to make.
And so at 30 feet, would 5 years from now, with a bunch of trucks going through there daily, would he need a new driveway?
Yes. You know, currently as it's installed, it's based on the size of the trucks they're bringing in there on a daily basis. So it basically accommodates their design vehicle. So it's adequately sized for what he needs on the job site at the construction or the project site now.
But at 40 feet, it would extend the life of the...
Currently it is 40 feet.
Right.
That's
but
what it was installed.
If approved at 40, would that lengthen the life of the driveway?
It would prevent vehicles from driving off the side of the driveway,
and
yes.
eroding the sides.
Not
Who
to-
repairs the erosion?
The driveways are the responsibility of the property owner to maintain. If
The
they do damage to the
driveways.
public right-of-way, that's something that if we can identify who the culprits are, we can go after them through code enforcement.
So if if their trucks were running off the side of the driveway because they didn't make the turn and it eroded our property, village property, would that be an expense to the village or would it be an expense to them?
We would pursue code enforcement first if we could identify who's causing the problems.
I think one of the issues is the width of Barberry. If it's a wide road, the truck could go farther out into the road to make the turn. If it's more narrow, then you have to utilize the apron more.
One, from my perspective, I'm more concerned about our roadway. I'd rather give 6 feet on a driveway width than be dealing with a road that they're constantly driving off the edge and breaking it up. And then if we decide we want to go after him to repay that, then we're spending Brian's time and tying up staff time trying to pursue that legally versus giving 6 feet on the front end, especially on Barberry, like Scott said, we've got 4 houses on and it's a little narrower. So that's my perspective on this.
And that
Trustee
was
Ballmer.
my question, was he accurate in the size of the roadway and how much damage it would cause in making those turns to the
Yes.
roadway versus having that driveway be there would minimize that?
Yes.
All right.
So you didn't make a capricious decision. Trustee Ross?
Well, the other thing is it's in unincorporated, so it really wouldn't have that much effect on Gurnee proper. Like,
It's our road, though.
it's our road,
Yeah.
but I mean, making a decision or a precedent,
yeah.
it wouldn't, so.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by trustee Hood, second by trustee Garner. Roll call, please, Andy. Move to approve at 40 feet.
Okay. Thorstenson.
Yes.
Ross.
Aye.
I didn't, you said yes?
Yeah.
Garner.
Aye.
Palmas.
Aye.
Hood.
Yes.
Thank you all.
All right, motion carries. Thank you for coming tonight. All right. That was the end of our new business. Public comment?
Mayor, may I?
All right, then do I have a motion to adjourn?
Mayor.
Oh,
No.
you,
Yes.
It's called rebuttal, not
we have public comment
Yeah,
from
this is
Scott
rebuttal.
Drabicki.
Thank you, Mayor. So again, my name is Scott Trubicki, I'm the village engineer. I want to thank the Board of Trustees, all the department heads, and the Village of Gurnee as a community for the last 15 years of my life.
You're
been
going
a
to
great
make me
experience.
cry.
So I started, 15 years ago, interviewing with, 6'7" David here, and then Jim Hayner, which was quite intimidating. A week later, I'm driving around an old squad car that they gave me to represent the Village of Gurnee, and people were waving to me, so I assumed my lights were on or I didn't hit the right switch. And it's just that kind of community. It's a great community, and I've come to work every day. It's not a job. It's been a family. It's been a great experience. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay.
On that note, I'll make
Yeah.
a motion to adjourn.
Motion by trustee Ballmer, second by trustee Thorstensen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're supposed